Hello everyone. A very good morning. Thank you for your kind introduction. I hope you are doing well in these testing times. I, Gaurav Kumar, am a second year PhD student at Purdue University. Today, I am going to present our work on a 16 picojoule per bit 0.1 to 15 Mbps compressive sensing IC with an on-chip DWT sparsifier targeted for audio signals. Here is the outline of my presentation. I will begin with the motivation for our work, then discuss the theoretical background of compressive sensing. Following that, I will present our proposed architecture of compressive sensing IC and measurement results before comparing with related works. Finally, I will conclude my presentation highlighting the key contributions. First, let us discuss the motivation for our work. With the advent of augmented reality, which is an interactive experience of real-world environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer-generated perceptual information, sometimes across multiple sensory modalities, including visual, auditory, haptic, and olfactory. Audio-based augmented reality has started to distinguish itself as an important independent application area that embeds computer-generated auditory content into the user's real acoustic environment. New innovative prototypes have shown that this concept is applicable to many different contexts, including tourism, location-oriented communication and information sharing, gaming and entertainment, and even as a distinctive new interaction technique. Therefore, it becomes extremely important to ensure that the sensor nodes of interest operate at high data rates to support audio signals without any considerable power increase, owing to the fact that these nodes usually function in highly energy constrained environments. So, let us first investigate where the power of the sensor node is expended. A sensor node is a node in a sensor network that is capable of performing some processing, gathering sensory information, and communicating with other connected nodes in the network. The power expended can be broken down into computation power, which is associated with processing data, and communication power that is related to transferring or sharing data with other connected sensor nodes. It is seen that the communication power is orders of magnitude higher than the power required for processing the data in a sensor node. Thus, it can be established that the communication energy or power is the main bottleneck for perpetual operation of any sensor node. So, how can we counter this? The answer is simple. Just reduce the number of communication bits without incurring any loss in information. Just to rephrase it, compress the data into fewer samples before transmitting. This will reduce the communication overload. In current audio processing setting, raw audio signals undergo high fidelity processing where they are compressed using audio codecs before transmission. Conventional audio codecs perform efficient compression and decompression techniques while maintaining the signal integrity. But they suffer from high power requirement, which is usually in the order of milliwatts. This hinders their application in auditory sensor nodes as they would burn significant power, which hinders its performance longevity. Thus, we envision to find a solution that provides similar performance compared to audio codecs while consuming less power. Compressive sensing, a well-known technique currently used for processing physiological signals like EEG, ECG, etc., can present a promising low-power solution to the mentioned problem. Compressive sensing compresses the data into fewer samples at the sensor node before transmitting them to the RX or hub. Information recovery is performed at the RX or hub, which is presumably less energy constrained. The power overhead for performing the CS operation is negligible as compared to the power saved from communicating those bits. Also, note that the power consumption for compressing the audio signal by compressive sensing should be lower than the power required by the audio codecs. This slide discusses our contribution. The work presents the first on-chip CS for audio signals, and it achieves greater than 10x reduction in power as compared to the conventional codecs-based compression. The proposed architecture, though optimized for non-sparse high-speed operations, is generic enough to function for both non-sparse and sparse signals. Thus, we can operate in all the four quadrants as shown in the figure in the left. Now, let us understand the theory behind the compressive sensing. How do we define compressive sensing? Compressive sensing can be thought as a matrix multiplication or a linear transformation of a set of vectors. Multiplication of n input vectors xi with the sensing or measurement matrix phi yields m compressed output samples yj, thereby compressing by a factor of n by m. But there are some predefined conditions that the input vector and measurement matrix must satisfy to faithfully compress and reconstruct the signal. The first prerequisite for compressive sensing is that the input signal must be sparse in some basis. So what exactly does this mean? For example, let us consider a sinusoidal. It requires infinite number of samples to represent it in time domain. But in Fourier or frequency domain, a single frequency can represent the input sinusoidal. Thus, we can say that the sinusoidal signal is sparse in frequency or Fourier basis. Physiological signals like EEG, ECG, etc. are inherently sparse in time domain. Thus, CS can be applied on them. The question here is, what if the input is non-sparse, like the audio signal? Yes, you guessed it correct. We need a sparsifier in this case. So what does the sparsifier do? Sparsifier performs the linear mapping of signal to another basis where the signal is sparse, like FFT, DWT, DCT or DST, etc. The matrix manipulation shows the sparsifying operation where instead of input samples xi, we use sparse representations fj for the CS operation. The psi is a signal basis that transforms the non-sparse signal to sparse representations. Another requirement for CS is that the rows of the sensing or measurement matrix phi needs to be uncorrelated to each other to perform incoherent sampling. This will ensure faithful reconstruction at the RX or hub. We will see later that we use a dual PRBS based sensing matrix generator with a seed randomizer to achieve random elements of the measurement matrix. How do we reconstruct the signal? L1 norm minimization performs the sparse recovery and find the input signal vector which was generated after sparsification from the compressed samples. Various techniques like basis pursuit, orthogonal matching pursuit, compressive sampling matching pursuit, etc. are reported in literature which performs the sparse recovery. Following that, inverse DWT is then carried out to recover the original signal from the output of the L1 minimization step. This slide summarizes the entire flow of CS operations starting from sparsification followed by CS encoding. The sparse recovery and desparsification is performed to reconstruct the original signal. Let us now discuss the architecture in the following section. This slide shares the block level overview of the proposed CS architecture. The CS implementation takes in n input samples and compresses them into m linear combinations. The pre-processing units perform the signal conditioning to meet the requirements of the compressive sensing. The CS encoder performs the matrix multiplication using the conditioned signal input and the sensing matrix to generate the compressed samples, which are then serialized and transmitted using the transmit buffer. The entire implementation is realized in a pipelined manner to achieve higher throughputs. The signal reconstruction and performance evaluation are performed off-chip in MATLAB. For reconstruction, L1 norm minimization is done using basis pursuit. The performance of compression is evaluated using signal to noise distortion ratio (SNDR) post reconstruction, which measures the time domain signal correlation. The other metric is the perceptual evaluation of audio quality mean opinion score. The PEAQ is a standard algorithm for objectively measuring the perceived audio quality. It was developed in 1994 by the International Telecommunication Union's radio communication sector. It utilizes a software to simulate perceptual properties of human ear and then integrates multiple model output variables into a single metric. Mohs scores greater than 1.5 are usually considered good. The design works with audio in both raw format such as .wav in mode 1 and the compressed format such as .aac in mode 2. Mode 2 provides additional compression in addition to the audio codec based compression, while mode 1 provides a new modality with low power audio compression. This slide shares light into the pre-processing units and the CS encoder. The input signal is digitized to 8 bits and is fed serially to the CSIC. The pre-processing units, consisting of a deserializer and sparsifier, deserializes and then sparsifies the input samples before feeding to the CS encoder for compression. The output of the sparsifier is fed to the CS encoder, which comprises of the wake-up matrix multiplier and wake-up sensing matrix generator. For every non-zero input sample, the matrix multiplier accumulates the product of the input sample and the row elements of the sensing matrix phi in m number of 16-bit accumulators, which are then serialized before sending to the transmit buffer. The degree of compression, defined as the compression factor CF, which is equal to n by m, is determined by the number of input samples to be accumulated, which can be set by a 3-bit external scan and can vary in the range of 3x to 33x for both the modes. We will now understand the design choices for our CS architecture. The value of m, which is the number of linear combinations that we are compressing our input into, or the number of compressed samples, directly impact the power and area overheads. So, care must be taken to optimally choose this parameter. We observe that increasing the value of m degrades the SNDR and Mohs for the reconstructed signals because we are accumulating higher number of input samples. When the signal is not as sparse as is in our case, we see that this causes a reconstruction error. But we also find that lower the value of m degrades the signal reconstruction time. Therefore, the value of m is chosen to be 30, considering the trade-off between the signal reconstruction time and the output audio quality, which is usually considered good for Mohs greater than 1.5. So we have chosen m equals 30. But what should be the optimal compression factor for audio signals? The analysis shown in this slide provides insights into this. Higher the value of CF lowers the SNDR, which implies that the reconstructed signal integrity degrades because we are accumulating higher number of input samples into fixed number of output samples. Here it is 30. This consequently degrades the audio perception or Mohs of the input signal. Thus, optimal compression factor for audio signal should be in the range of 3x to 15x on the basis of Mohs greater than 1.5 and SNDR greater than 0.2. Also, it is to be noted that sparser signals like EEG or ECG can be operated at higher CF because the signal or information content in the compression window is much lower, thus and can be represented by a fewer samples. The choice of sparsifier plays a key role in maintaining the signal integrity post reconstruction. Discrete cosine transform or DCT offers better sparsity for audio signal, but being a lossy compression, it fails to faithfully reconstruct the signal. Discrete wavelet transform, on the other hand, offers lossless compression and maintains good signal reconstruction. The graph on the left shows that DWT outperforms DCT in terms of MOS and SNDR of the reconstructed signal. The DWT based audio compression technique provides greater than 1.5 MOS for reconstructed audio signal operating at CF less than 15, while DCT based approach suffers from providing good audio perception post reconstruction. The slide presents the two-stage DWT architecture. A 25 tap FIR filter is used for realizing the high pass and low pass filters. The Park-McLaurin's algorithm is used to find the optimal and efficient coefficients of Chebyshev filter design Gi and Hi for high pass and low pass filter respectively. The thresholding block at the end of the sparsifier zeroes the samples below a certain threshold to avoid computation of insignificant samples. This slide compares the results of the post-synthesized hardware output with the MATLAB simulations for sinusoid wave. We see that the output of the hardware clearly matches the one with the MATLAB. Also, note that the number of DWT samples reduced by 4x post-sparsification. This slide presents the wake-up CS encoder and its associated control signals. Since the output of the DWT sparsifier includes majority of elements with 0 values, the CS encoder is implemented in a wake-up mode, such that the block is power gated when the input is 0, preserving the previously accumulated values in the resistors. The begin signal from the control block indicates the state of the input sample, that is whether it is 0 or non-zero. Multiply and accumulate circuit or MAC based CS encoder is used to perform the multiplication and addition operation for n input samples. The value of n is chosen based on the user defined CF. The counter resets the accumulator after n input samples before storing the accumulated values to the resistor for serialization. The multiplier is implemented using simple AND gates as the elements of the sensing matrix are either 0 or 1. To meet the requirement of incoherent sampling, that is the prerequisite 2 for CS, which is required for reliable reconstruction at the receiver, the rows of the sensing matrix are required to be uncorrelated with each other. A dual PRBS based sensing matrix consisting of two independent PRBS generators provides the required random Bernoulli matrix by XORing the output of one PRBS generator with every state of the other PRBS at lower area and power costs. A seed update signal is sent to the seed generator to update the seed of the sensing matrix for every new incoming input sample. As discussed earlier, the signal recovery is carried out in MATLAB, where L1 norm minimization is performed using basis pursuit algorithm to find the sparse set, which is the exact replica of decompressed samples. The reconstructed samples are then passed through inverse DWT to recover the original audio. SNDR and MOS are used for performance evaluation. So in the following section, we will discuss the measurement results. The entire CS block occupies 400 x 320 micrometer square area in 65 nanometer CMOS technology. The measurement setup is shown in the right. AWGN is used to feed the digitized input samples to the test chip. The outputs are observed in oscilloscopes, are also captured in MATLAB for post-processing. The figure shows the input-output waveforms of a 1 second audio signal sampled at 44.1 kHz. The compression factor is set to be 3. We observe that post-reconstruction, the final output shown in green matches with the input sample as shown in black. The figure in the left shows the variation of power consumed by the chip to the input data rate for different supply voltages. As expected, the power scales linearly with the input data rate, consuming 238 microwatt at supply of 650 millivolt for 15 Mbps input signal. The leakage power dominates the low speed regime and increases with the supply voltage. The variation of power with the compression factor is shown in the right. The power consumed remains independent with the CF for a particular data rate. The smooth plot shows the functionality of the chip at different supply voltages. The chip operates from 550 mV to 1 volt supply voltages, but it is seen that for higher data rate operations, the chip failed to function at low supplies. We see that for 15 Mbps input data rate operation, at least 650 mV supply is needed. The figure on the right provides the optimal supplies and power consumed for different input data rates for achieving best power efficiency. We see that the CSIC consumes 2.4 to 238 microwatt power for data rates ranging from 0.1 to 15 Mbps, achieving a power efficiency of 24 to 16 picojoule per bit. The slide provides the comparative study of the presented work with other related works. The work uses compressive sensing to target audio application using on-chip two-stage DWT as sparsifier. The work achieves a max operating speed of 15 Mbps, which is greater than 200x, and power efficiency of 16 picojoule per bit, which is 2x lower than the state of the art. To conclude, the pipelined CS implementation with Wake-up CS encoder and on-chip DWT sparsifier is the first high-speed CS targeted for audio signals in an energy-constrained sensor nodes. It achieves the highest input data rate up to 15 Mbps in literature, while the wake-up operation facilitates low-power operation 2.4 to 238 microwatt. It also achieves greater than 10x lower power in transmitting the audio than the conventional codecs while maintaining the signal integrity. The implemented architecture is generic enough to be applied to both sparse and non-sparse signals. With this, I conclude my presentation. For additional queries, please write to me at gauravk@purdue.edu or Professor Sen at shreyas@purdue.edu. Thank you for your kind attention. I am happy to take questions now.